Hi there, this is Rocky Mountain Pro referee Josh Spicer, and you're listening to RMP Radio, where pro wrestling is elevated.
RMP Radio is back on the air. Hi, I am your host, Mr. Fourth Row, and joining me on this edition, we're going to keep it clean. We've got referee Josh Spicer. Josh, how you doing?
It's your boy. I'm doing it right there, Artie. How you doing, man?
I'm hanging in there, doing just fine. So, like we do here on RMP Radio, we get to know a little bit more about what the referees, the wrestlers, the referees, the personalities like to do outside of the ring, and some of the things that maybe would interest the RMP audience. Is some of the things that you like to do is one thing maybe that's been a little unique. We haven't really necessarily had a lot of people on, but you do like writing lyrics. What is it that interests you, got you started on that path?
Even when I was young, I always started I always started coming up with songs out of nowhere, to the point where my mom was like, "What is that song?" or "Who wrote that song?" Whatever. So it's always interesting having that in my ear. But I didn't really start picking up actually like doing it more often until I got to high school, and I took a creative writing class my entire high school. And so that really kind of made me think, maybe I do actually kind of enjoy this a lot. And so since then, really, I've been doing it off and on for a while now. I had a writer's block off period of 2 years, but I'm back at it now, and it's interesting to see how far I've grown since high school.
Oh, that's fascinating. So when it comes to that, what are your thoughts about? Of course, the big one would be, of course, when John Cena came in the ruthless aggression era, and of course, most recently, Max Caster at AEW. What are your thoughts about seeing them? Kind of really. Getting those lyrics and specifically rapping. And you did tell me you kind of did have a little bit of a focus rapping too, when you were doing that too.
Yes, sir. Growing up as a guy who was very anti-Cena for a while, seeing Cena do that as a 12, 13-year-old, it was fun. I never really was big into rap until about high school, but it was interesting to see a white guy on wrestling television do that. It was definitely a gimmick, at least so I thought. And then a guy like Caster, he kind of, nowadays we're at the point where a guy like Caster, that gimmick isn't new. Yeah. But seeing him kind of do it differently and just throw in a couple other tweaks to it is definitely interesting.
Yeah, and he kind of pushes that needle, pushes that point too. It's you kind of cringe and go, did he just really say that?
Yeah. and a guy like Caster definitely seems more of a battle rapper and Cena seems more like a kind of just an old school kind of guy.
Yeah.
And just that's probably the difference I think that they have. Caster can freestyle on a whim and has topics in his mind to go off of, whether they be good or bad to do, but he'll do them. And he can do that in front of a crowd as an entrance. Cena's the kind of guy that'll bust out an album or a record with Wiz Khalifa or something and make it at least half decent.
Right, yeah, and I will admit that I do have that album. I mean, I think a lot of people. I think he sold quite a few
Yeah,
of those at the time. So it's not.
not bad.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's not terrible.
No,
Of course, his entrance song is probably the best,
yeah.
track on there. Of course,
It,
that's why
it's
he used it.
I mean, you got Bad Man on there with Busted Knuckles. I mean, come on,
Yeah.
I'll bump Knuckles.
Yeah, and then kind of going back to Max Caster. Thank goodness Anthony Bowens is there for a time to not get that censored button for for
Yeah,
Dynamite. You know.
yeah. He is Caster's godson for sure.
uh, uh, when it also comes to the to the lyrics, what is it that you said you're kind of getting back into it now? What is it you're trying to kind of focus on?
A lot less. So a lot of my older stuff was kind of heavy metal, Hollywood Undead, Eminem inspired kind of stuff. So it's it's a lot more horror and more not violent, but just more dark and very very unnecessarily so. Um, Over time, I've kind of gone away from that to more other kind of themes and presence. But nowadays, it's more focused on innovation and how I can kind of twist rhymes and make melodies, newer melodies that I've never that I've sorry that I've never worked with before.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of new stuff that I never talked about over the span of 20 some years. And it's definitely interesting having to try to work around stuff that I have done and
Mm-hmm.
try to figure out something new. Given it's been, like I said, it's been a while since I've started writing, and I'm touching on a lot of stuff in the lyrics that I don't think I've ever seen before,
Okay.
or at least in different ways.
Okay, and what's your goal? Is your goal to maybe put out an album or a couple tracks or something like that? Or is there even any thought about? And this is kind of weird because we really don't have necessarily any like entrance songs for wrestlers in the
Yeah.
wrestling business, but they've put out albums, things of that nature. The E has, of course,
Yeah.
done stuff like that. But what's your goal? What's your plan on that?
Honestly, a lot of it is just to stay kind of in the folder, in the file.
Okay.
I have been tempted to on certain songs and to try and record and produce and all that jazz, but I'm not a very good editor. I'm not a very good singer. I'm not bad. I can't really hold a high tune. As you can tell, I stumbled over my words a lot, so rapping fast is not exactly a gift of mine. There are stuff out there that I've released, quote unquote, released onto YouTube, but beyond that, really, I haven't really released a song to the public in like 7-8 years. It's been a while.
Yeah. Well, there's nothing, in my opinion, there's nothing wrong about writing something and then having somebody else produce it and perform it. I mean, there's
Yeah.
absolutely nothing wrong. There's people that do that, and the people that can do all three are very few and far between.
Mm-hmm.
The person I can really think of is somebody like a John Legend or somebody like that.
Max Martin kind of guy, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
So another thing. The people might be interested in doing the RMP that you do, the RMP Faithful, and a lot of the other guys and gals do is you do when you have some downtime, like to participate in the video gaming, and
Yeah.
sounds like you do a little bit of everything: PC, console,
Yep.
Steam. What is it that maybe kind of has your focus right now?
For a while, it was kind of Telltale, kind of choose your adventure story kind of games. Now I'm kind of trying to dive back into older games, as well as actually try to tackle some newer stuff. Right now I'm playing Tales of Arise, a new game in the Tales series, which I really love. And then I'm also kind of tackling Pokemon Coliseum again. So
Oh, cool.
that's where I'm at right now for games.
How do you first get introduced into that the video gaming? Was it a console? Was it PC?
Was very young, like 6 or 7, and actually was even younger than that. But my daycare area, they had an N64, or not, no, no, an S set up with Duck Hunt as well as the original Mario.
Yeah.
That double thing to had, and it's like, and they had one of the nests where if you're too loud, it'll shut off. Uh, that's really that was my first touch of video games. It wasn't until I got into to elementary school or middle school where my dad was like, "Hey, are you interested in this stuff, son?" And I was like, "Yes, please." Um, but I didn't really start thinking about actually playing them a lot as much as I have until probably I got I moved out of our old house, and I could actually afford more games than I ever could. So I had a wider range of games that I could play than I ever had played before.
Yeah. What's been like what's your favorite game that you've ever played?
I had a list somewhere. The main ones that I can think of off the top of my head, probably gonna be Tales of Vesperia, another Tales game.
Hmm.
Pokemon Crystal. I'm a big fan of the Pokemon series. And beyond that, there was one that I always thought of, but I can't think of it right now. Let me do a quick switch real fast to make sure. But Portal 2.
Oh.
Either of them, just fantastic games, from top to bottom, no, for sure.
What's it like with your video game passion to watch the Yaden on Twitch tackling those old games? Are you keeping an eye on and tuning in every once in a while and kind of living vicariously through him?
Yeah, yeah. A guy like Gaten's been doing this a lot longer than I have.
Yeah.
And so he's able to have the drive and motivation to try to tackle those older games that are notoriously difficult, and I commend him for sure.
Speaking of that, what's your philosophy? What's your thought on that? Do you think those older games and the NES, eras right around there versus what we have now, do you think those games are a lot harder to beat?
Oh, for sure. I think that had to be honest. Games were not cheap back then, cheaper than they are now, inflation wise. But
Yeah.
you bought a game, you had to get longevity out of it. And so programmers either made the game longer by sneaking in some stuff, like having you either replay the game or just go back or backtrack, stuff like that, or make it more difficult, which is usually the stuff, because you couldn't save back then, and so if you died, you had to start all the way back over.
Yeah.
And that was the biggest way they got longevity out of a cartridge, is by making it by making it more difficult.
Yeah.
Obviously, Ghouls and Goblins and Castlevania are two games notorious for being great, but also very difficult.
Right.
And that's yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. No, oh no, I was gonna say, and then my thought is when you talk to like the longevity, probably my favorite video game of all time, the original Legend of Zelda and the NES.
Yeah.
It's like, nope, there's a second quest, you know.
Yep.
So yeah, that was that definitely gave you a lot of time commitment into and defeating both of those quests. I remember, of course, I of course done it, but it was very, very entertaining. Probably, maybe in my opinion, maybe one of the best like adventure type games of all time.
Yeah. I've never had the privilege of playing it. I've watched people play it. I watched people beat it. I played it a couple times, but at that point I never really had a care, let's say, for older games that I do now. But it's Zelda was really, I think, a game changer, just because it changed a lot of genres and a lot of different ways, and made video games more focused on story than they ever have really before.
Yeah. And and then of course when you get to get tagged with a, this is a franchise
Yep.
title, that means something. It's 20, 30 years old. That's
Mhm.
that, and then it keeps on going, keeps them have a lot of admiration, a lot of when you mention that name, a lot of people's eyes light up, like
Yep.
uh,
Everybody's got their favorites. Everybody's got their favorite character, and it's like their favorite game. And Zelda is one of the few games I can think of that every single mainline game is different in some way,
yeah. So true. Yeah,
in a
it's
good way
true.
too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Every single one of them is, yeah, because it evolved. It definitely was one that evolved depending on what was kind of the popular way to have the gameplay, basically.
Yeah.
At the time, yeah, definitely true. Uh, So another thing that people might be interested in going on here on the topics is you're a sports fan, and
Mhm.
you like baseball. Your favorite baseball team is the St. Louis Cardinals.
Cardinals,
So
yep.
go first of all at the time of this recording. I'm sorry to
Well,
to do that winning streak and to get there and just
Yeah.
fall short, but it's
Exhale.
wild card. That's just the
Yeah.
the danger of that wild card.
I mean, props to them. It was a hell of a game.
Yeah.
Both teams fought. It's just, yeah. It was funny because earlier in the day I was making fun of my mom because Chapman for the Yankees. She's a huge Yankees fan, and Chapman is notorious for being a spoiler for a lot of the Yankees wins. And so, of course, go figure. We had our own spoiler, managed to spoil the game for us.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just yeah, it's crazy, and it's funny how sometimes and it can be just a really odd thing. It was just one player
Yep.
did the entire damage for the entire game for the Dodgers, and it just was like he hit the game winner, and he hit the first home run of the game too. It was just like, geez,
Yeah.
wow, crazy. Other than that, it's just it's amazing how well, in my opinion, I'm a big baseball fan as well. It's just amazing when it comes to the playoffs. Things can be so tight, and just one or two things can go the wrong way, and then that's it. And it's just like oh, it's over.
Yeah, I talked about this with a friend a while back, but baseball is one of the few games I can think of where every single game has a potential to be the best game ever, which is hyperbolic, but it's not wrong.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you get a couple good teams playing, and all of a sudden it's 4-4 in the bottom of the ninth, and the closer's facing the ace, and it's like, and boom, and he strikes out, and we're going to overtime. It's like, how tight can we be? How close can we get here?
Yeah, and you can have weird things. Then you get into extra innings. And you've got position players pitching, and
Yeah.
you could have and I don't know if you know, but I think you might know. But but all things good, all things kosher right now. Of course, I'm a Cubs fan, so
Yeah,
we
it's
got a little rivalry right here. But one of the Cubs' most kind of weirdest things is that they were playing, I think, the Colorado Rockies, years and years ago, and the catcher John Baker pitched the inning, pitched that top of the inning, and then he got on base and he scored the winning run. And so it's just kind of weird things that can happen in baseball, and that's just it's one of those games, kind of like what you kind of mentioned to, kind of alluding to, is that with baseball there's still things, even though it's 150 plus years old, there are still things that we've never seen before in the game, and that can happen.
Yep, and I guess if we continue to talk about baseball here for a bit, one of the things I love about baseball is there's so many levels, there's so many layers of what could happen of strategy, like especially in the playoffs. Like, you don't want to use all your pitchers immediately, but if you have to, you have to. You don't want to take a risk on a play or on a bunt or on a mistimed hit if it's baseball's always fun to watch because there's so many things that could happen, and somehow they usually do.
Well, yeah, and it's very situational. Like, for example, we just rewind to last night at the time of this recording. People were going, is Dave Roberts pulling Scherzer out too early? You know, what's going, but
Yep.
do you push him, and then, did you hurt him for the rest of the playoffs?
Yeah.
What do you do? What do you do? And, but you got to win this game,
Yeah.
to move on, that's why it's called the wild card game.
Yeah.
It's it's very situational, and you don't know what's going to happen.
Yep. And then like with the Cardinals, it's like they had Wainwright in there in an extra inning, and then they took him out, and then they had a guy like Matty on bench, and it's like, do you put him in whenever the shortstop or the second base is starting to was having that bad inning, the bad few innings oh geez,
Yeah.
sorry, I get excited, I start stumbling.
All right.
And then with a guy like Matty, do you put him in when the guy is starting to struggle, but also Matty is not consistent, and it's like, oh man, I could not imagine being a manager for a baseball game, just because you always got to think about something.
Yeah, and you got to have your coaches, giving you the advice. You got to query in with them, saying, what do you think? What have you been seeing? What's been going on with such and such player? Do you think I can use him here? Or how did he go? How was his bullpen today? Things like that. So yeah, it is definitely very crazy. So with this loss, are you now then turning your attention to the pigskin?
Yes, definitely. I was definitely interested to see if the Cardinals could do it, but I honestly I figured that they lose to the Giants anyway, so it's like, I'll watch it just because it's the Cardinals, see what happens.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely not focused on one football right now.
Yeah, and you mentioned offline before we got recording your favorite player, definitely in the consideration to be in the GOAT of the quarterbacks, Tom Brady, and you told me that you actually root for whatever team he is on.
Yeah.
So that's kind of I know a lot of people do that. And what was it like? Wasn't it just recently he had to face the Patriots? Like it was a game or two ago. What was it like that? Did you catch that game?
I did. I went out of the way to watch it. Seeing with the Patriots for so long, if I can go back for a second.
Yeah.
I didn't really think being a fan of a specific player was okay, or at the very least was a thing you could do.
Yeah.
Because for a while, the first game I ever saw was the first Super Bowl that the Pats won, or the one with Brady in 02. And so that was kind of why I stuck with them for so long, is because they're the first ones I saw. They're my base level for football teams.
Mm-hmm.
And so seeing Tom with them for 19 years, I was like, okay, yeah, I'm obviously a Patriots fan then. And then Tom leaves, and it's like, okay, I'll watch the Patriots. But then I start hearing of Gronk. I start hearing of Antonio Brown coming back, and it's like, okay, maybe the Bucs are actually pretty cool. And then I thought my dad was always a fan of Peyton Manning, and he followed the Colts and he followed the Broncos whenever he went here. So that kind of was my trigger, where it's like, okay, I could be a Tom Brady fan then. All right, fair enough.
Yeah. Well, and here's my philosophy, my kind of thought about that is that we have long passed now, because basically just because of money, that you are not going to have athletes stay with a team for their entire career. The quote, using a hometown reference here for us in Colorado, we're not going to have another Todd Helton in for the Rockies playing for his whole career.
Yeah.
It's just not going to happen anymore, just because of money, and just so the competitiveness of you gotta get to the playoffs every year in whatever sport you are. Things kind of go, and you see players maybe bouncing from one team and then back to their original team every,
Yeah.
and then go to another team after that, to go to a third team. It's something that just kind of happens. And players' careers are so short sometimes anyways, that they need to take the advantage of in my opinion, when they can. So
Yeah, and you can always make a game out of who's going where, just because you never know where they might go. Next year, Tom Brady could go, I don't know, to the Jags. You never know.
Right. Yeah, it is crazy. What do you think? What do you think his future is? Do you think he wants to just he's had a pretty lengthy career already. You think he's still got a few more seasons left in him?
I think if he can still go, we can still go. He mentioned he wants to play until he's 50. I'm not sure if that's going to happen, but I'd be okay with it. But also at the same time, calm down, Tom. He still plays. Obviously, he doesn't play as well as he used to, but he's adapted to his age and his body at this point. And as long as he has a good old line to keep him protected, and as long as he's able to still find the spot he needs to find, as well as play the plays he needs to play, I think he can play until he's 50 if he wants to.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and that's only 6 more years?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, so you never know. I mean, it would be crazy if he could. I don't know if that would be a record for a quarterback, but
it would.
Yeah,
I think 44 I think is the record for any kind of NFL player, I think.
Oh, really?
47
wow.
I think actually. It was a kicker.
That's what I was gonna think. Yeah, it's probably a kicker. Yeah.
Yeah, but he played until it was like 47, and then just kind of retired. Which, by all means.
Yeah, fantastic. Oh, that's great. So, what else? Do you think the RMP radio audience would like to know that you when it comes to your hobbies? Do you that you kind of maybe participate in? Do you collect anything or any kind of fun facts about Josh Spicer?
Sure. I guess for a simple fun fact, one that I always like to bust out every so often, I am a black belt in Taekwondo.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, first degree. I did it for about 3 years during elementary school, I believe. Yes. And I stuck around with it with a buddy of mine. It was always fun to go there. I was never particularly good, but I was good enough to keep on growing and elevating with it. And then I got my black belts. And after that, I was kind of like, all right, I think I'm done, Mom. Thanks.
What age was this?
Probably about 8 to 10, somewhere in that range.
10? That's cool. Yeah, I actually did a couple classes back in during summer break, and yeah, I found it different. I was it wasn't it's definitely different than when I thought it was going to be. I didn't realize that there was a lot of, when it comes to the for especially the punches, it was more of a snapping, snapping when you punch. So yeah, kind of interesting.
And sorry, and all the forms they did, there's a lot more to it, and a lot of dedication to it as well. And as a 10-year-old, having got to that point, I couldn't dedicate myself anymore to it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's cool. But it was definitely, in my opinion, it was a filling experience to go through.
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah. All right. Well, what else? Do you think you may have something else on your mind there?
Maybe. I'm a big fan of Pokemon.
Yeah.
I've been following it for 20 years now. 25 years. I collect a lot of stuff, a lot of fan art. No cards though. Not really a fan of the card game, most because I'm not very good at it. But yeah. You can pick and choose.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say. Well, you sound like, I think that's as old as Pokemon actually is. Yeah. So yeah, in from the beginning.
Yeah, not directly from the beginning, but I mean, it's,
pretty darn close.
Yeah, I played the first games. I played Johto, the second generation. I followed the anime for a while. You can tackle anything you want in that series. I've probably taken a crack at it.
Yeah, and then I think there's a brand new movie on Netflix that just premiered a little
Yes.
while ago. Secrets of the Jungle or something like that.
Is that that was out? Okay, I didn't know that was out. I want to
Yeah.
watch that now.
Yeah. Well, at least because I only got into Pokemon with Pokemon Go, but at least on my Pokemon Go app, you're doing an event with that. That's
Okay.
in conjunction with the release of this movie on Netflix, which my understanding is it's like just released like within the
Okay.
last week or so. So yeah, so that's
I'm gonna watch that then. Thank you.
yeah. As far as I know, it's on there. Well, I'm glad I got to put something in your queue for you. All right. Well, hey, I think that might be a great exclamation point to put on this edition of RMP Radio. But before I do let you go, people wanted to maybe follow you out there on the social media, see what shows and things we got upcoming for Rocky Mountain Pro that they can see you lay down the law in the ring with.
Sure.
Where could they do that?
Sure. On Facebook, really, it's just Josh Spicer. There's a page for it. You'll find it. You'll find my picture in the thumbnail. And then for Twitter, it's at real Josh Spicer 1. Though I might be changing that soon as well. But beyond that, you can see me this month. You can see me tomorrow night actually at Lucha Libre Lab. Oh, this is Rocky Mountain. Oh,
Oh, that's okay.
yeah, sorry. Hoof.
We at Rocky Mountain Pro endorse the rest of the Colorado wrestling community, but of course we want to tell people to of course come to Shocktober weekend.
Let's say yeah.
But we're very good friends with Lucha Libre and Laugh, so it's not a problem.
Sorry. But yeah, 29th, 30th, double show, double nights, double your fun, double your big Shocktober show. We got D'Lo Brown, we got Gangrel, Marty the Moth. You can keep on naming them. I already forgot what they were, but they'll all be there. Al Snow, yep, Al Snow. They'll all be there to. Yep.
That's going to be fantastic. Yeah, so we definitely want to implore the listeners to come out to Shocktober weekend. Free show on Friday at Bierstadt.
Yep.
And then, of course, at the Stanley Marketplace on Saturday with Shocktober, and then also following the biggest Halloween party in Colorado, Halloween. That looks exciting as well. So
Get your tickets now for Shocktober and Halloween. Those are selling out really fast, I heard.
Oh yeah, definitely. For sure. All right. Well, once again, thank you for coming on, and we'll be definitely seeing you at the next shows.
Yes, sir. And I'll see you there too.
Once again, a big, huge thank you to referee Josh Spicer for coming on to this edition of RMP Radio and letting all the listeners get to know what he does outside of the wrestling ropes when he's not laying down the law. Before we get out of here, let's pay some bills like they used to say back in the day. Want to get some merchandise of your favorite Rocky Mountain Pro superstars? Hit up the rmpwrestling.com website. Click on the merchandise link, or if you're in the Amazon.com or the Amazon app, search for Rocky Mountain Pro. You'll be presented with a few different choices of things to choose from there. There's lots of great choices and some fantastic things on there. And at the time of this recording, you may see some of those from our Amazon website this upcoming weekend at Shocktober. Additionally, hit up your favorite Rocky Mountain Pro superstars. See if they've got a Pro Wrestling Tees, Brainbuster Tees, What a Maneuver websites that you can help them support them right there. And then also at each and every one of the events and shows that they're at, look over the merch table, see what they've got. They may have exclusives that are only available at shows. So something to think about and ponder there. Upcoming events. We've got Shocktober weekend happening this upcoming Friday. Starting this upcoming Friday, I should actually say. So Bierstadt Lagerhaus starting at 7 p.m. This is a free show, so in lieu of not having to purchase the tickets, we ask you to please patronize Bierstadt Lagerhaus with drinks and refreshments. Lots of great things to drink there, and they've got some fantastic, personally, if I must say, some mac and cheese, all kinds of flavors that you would never think of going well together. And then on Saturday, we've got the big one, Shocktober, and if you want to get tickets to that, that starts at 5 o'clock, running till $8.39. Get tickets to that, head over to rmpwrestling.com, and you'll be able to purchase tickets right there. And you also can get VIP to meet and greet some of our special guests that we've got coming up. We've got coming in, I should say. We've got Al Snow, Grangel, Sledge, Marty the Moth, and D'Lo Brown. So please get your tickets as soon as possible for that. In the meantime, after you get done listening to this, head over to twitch.tv/Rocky Mountain Pro. Get caught up with all the episodes heading into Shocktober. Also, you can find everything also there in individual episodes at our youtube.com/Rocky Mountain Pro. We greatly appreciate if you watch us there. And you can also watch us on the Fight TV platform, fight.tv, and then also on the apps on your mobile devices and even on the Roku. Also, please follow us out there everywhere on the interwebs. Please start us off at rmpwrestling.com, and then on the Facebook, the Twitter, the Instagram of all of the username of the Rocky MTN Pro. And as always, I'll phonetically spell that once again for you. That is the Rocky Mike Tango November Pro. Thank you as always for listening to RMP Radio, where pro wrestling is elevated.